Jaliek got in the front seat and they took off. That was the last that we saw Jaliek.
My heart's broken.
Oftentimes they just show back up within a day or so, but this one, something strange had happened here.
We have nothing to hide.
It just was ridiculous.
A 12-year-old boy doesn't just vanish.
My heart's broken.
Oftentimes they just show back up within a day or so, but this one, something strange had happened here.
We have nothing to hide.
If Jaliek is watching this, come home.
A 12-year-old boy doesn't just vanish.
I drive by this location and I can't go by here without thinking of Jaliek and thinking, you know, was there anything that I could have done to prevent this? Jaliek was born to a drug-addicted mother. He went from there to a foster home, to another foster home, to another foster home, and then was placed with Stephen and Jocelyn.
I found out that my daughter and son-in-law were going to adopt Jaliek. He was charming, and he was happy, and he's like very, very talkative about, I have a new family.
That should have been a forever home for him, but it didn't turn out that way.
Within an hour after the incident, my daughter had been very candid with me that she no longer wanted Jaliek in the family.
We had gotten a call from Stephen Kerr asking us if we could watch Jaliek for 2 weeks. The evening that I returned Jaliek to his dad, it's a horrible day in our memory now. Jaliek and I got in the car. He talked about what a good time he had, and I pulled in here, and Jaliek said, "Oh, there's my father's car right there." Jaliek got in the front seat, and they took off. And that was the last that we saw Jaliek.
I walked in and it was surreal. Stephen was pacing and I said, "What's going on?" And he said, "Jaliek just ran away, you know, here's the note."
It basically said, "I'm sorry for what I did. I won't be a bother anymore. Goodbye, Jaliek." We believe, and I think the police do too, that this was a letter of apology that Jaliek had written to his homeschool class.
Stephen then presents this to the police as not just an apology note, but as my son isn't just missing, but he has chosen to run away. Stephen says he picks up Jaliek, he takes him to a Red Robin restaurant, they have dinner there, then the two of them leave. Stephen says that he wakes up the next morning and goes downstairs and he sees this apology note on the table.
So they began a pretty wide search. They were using dogs, helicopters, divers, they used boats.
My son-in-law, Stephen Kerr, and my daughter, Jocelyn McDonald, told the police that Jaliek had been wearing a yellow fleece, a bright, bright yellow fleece. And so for months, the yellow fleece became key in trying to locate Jaliek.
What we began to notice was a pattern of where there would be searches and people in, the muck or in the water, or regular volunteers going out looking for this child. And yet his own parents were nowhere to be found.
We have nothing to hide.
Honestly, that was one of the most bizarre interviews I have ever conducted in my career. He would start talking about himself and how he had taken in a child that had been thrown away, or about listening to speeches by Martin Luther King. He was just kind of all over the map.
I know that you're very passionate about Martin Luther King.
No, I'm very passionate about my son. And you know what? If you can't rely on people you call your heroes when the time is tough, who do you rely on? News media? Jerry Springer?
I walked up to the front door and I pushed it open, and I had a flashlight with me. There were some of his belongings. There were 2 piles of clothing, and in one I looked and there was this bright yellow color. So I opened it up, and it was indeed the yellow fleece. I'd been looking for my grandchild's body, in this yellow fleece. Why would the fleece be sitting there when they maintained that he had disappeared in it? How did it make me feel? 12 years later, still heartbroken.
The police know that, based on a cell phone call that Stephen got, that he wasn't where he said he was.
One of the other inconsistencies that police pointed to was that Stephen had indicated he was home all night after bringing Jaliek home, but when the police started checking surveillance cameras in the Greenwich business district, they found video of a distinctive gold minivan that matched the description of Stephen's van.
He was a 12-year-old boy, and he is out there somewhere.
If my grandchild, Jaliek, is watching this and he hears my voice, come home. I miss you. No questions, just come home.